In this video, we shall see what are particularly vulnerable tribal groups, what are their characteristics, and what efforts are being taken by the Government of India to improve their condition. Tribal population makes up for 8.6% of the total population in India. There are 705 scheduled tribes identified in India. Out of this, some tribal groups are left far behind than other groups in terms of progress. These are more primitive than the other tribal groups. These groups are classified as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. As of March 2021, India has 75 PVTGs across 18 states and Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The characteristics of particularly vulnerable tribal groups are: they have a declining or stagnant population, low level of literacy, pre-agricultural level of technology, economically backward, and they generally inhabit remote localities having poor infrastructure and administrative support. Among the 75 listed PVTGs, highest number is in Odisha. Odisha has 13 PVTGs. All the 4 tribal groups in Andaman and 1 in Nicobar Islands are PVTGs. Largest population size among the PVTGs is of the Saharia people of Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Smallest population size is the Sentinelese. Every year, government provides funds for the development of the tribal people. But the major chunk of the tribal development funds is taken away by the more developed and assertive tribal groups, leaving the more primitive groups vulnerable and ignored. In 1973, the Dhebar Commission created primitive tribal groups as a separate category who are less developed among the tribal groups. In 2006, the Government of India renamed the PTGs as the PVTGs. PVTGs are characterized by a small homogeneous population, absence of written language, relatively simple technology, and a slower rate of population growth. Now let's see what efforts are being undertaken to improve the conditions of the PVTGs. The Scheme for Development of Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Groups came into effect from April 1, 2008. The scheme defines PVTGs as the most vulnerable among the scheduled tribes, and the scheme therefore seeks to prioritize their protection and development. It identifies 75 PVTGs. The scheme seeks to adopt a holistic approach to the socio-economic development of the PVTGs. Activities supported under the scheme include housing, land distribution, land development, agricultural development, cattle development, construction of link roads, installation of non-conventional sources of energy, social security, etc. Each state and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands administration is required to prepare a long-term conservation-cum-development plan valid for a period of 5 years for each PVTG within its territory. This plan must outline the initiatives it will undertake and the financial planning required for the same. The Conservation-cum-Development Plan is approved by an expert committee appointed by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. The scheme is then funded entirely by the central government.